This is our world now. The world of the electron and the switch. The beauty of the baud. We make use of a service already existing that would be dirt cheap if it weren't run by a bunch of profiteering gluttons, and you call us criminals.
It's the newest crime known to man.
We exist without nationality, skin color, or religious bias.
Few know or understand its significance.
You may stop me, but you can't stop us all.
It takes a mind and intelligence few can comprehend to commit it.
I am a hacker, and this is my manifesto.
SummerCon's usually been, it was originally started by Taran King and Night Lightning back many, many, many years ago, and it was just as a way to put a face to the name. Everybody's sick. Everybody always would send messages back and forth on bulletin boards. They always type to each other over networks, and no one knew anybody. You might have friends that you've had for years and years and years, and you don't have any. You wouldn't see them passing on the street. So the cons were a way to really get to meet somebody in person, and they were usually an invite only. It was like the select group of people who were, I guess, in the know back then. The people who thought they were better than everybody else, and they'd all get together and hang out and talk. I wanted to do an open thing because every other con that's been floating around for so long, especially a lot of the ones that you see recently, things like DEF CON, things like Hacking the Universe, things like HOPE, have charged an exorbitant amount of money, at least in my opinion, for seemingly lackluster or substandard type entertainment or enjoyment for the people who come. And I'm usually the one in the crowd at these things, and I know what I want to see. So when I put this on, I wanted to do something. All the people that were speaking were people that I wanted to ask questions, that people that I thought were interesting, people who knew things that I didn't know, and that's how I based the con.
I believe that hackers are a national resource. The communications and computing industry is, if not stupid, criminally negligent. And I think that hackers, in pointing out the holes and the problems with our system, are in fact the antidote, not the problem. I think our country desperately needs a national information strategy. I am very concerned about the fact that the Department of Defense has abdicated its responsibility for defending our nation at home. We have an urgent need for a civil electronic defense, and nobody is willing to sign up to do that. And I think the hackers are, in fact, the Minutemen of the 21st century. You're welcome to visit OSS.net via Gopher, Waze, or FTP. We were on the Gopher Jewels list within a month of starting. We've been on the front page of Computer World. It's not fancy, but it's a start at understanding the Citizens Intelligence Agency, CIA in lowercase.
We always have to define indecency by what some senator from Nebraska has to say about it, and I think it's something that the individuals should have a lot more control over. And the net has been good because individuals control the net. It's not controlled by mega corporations. It's not controlled by backward senators from Nebraska. It's not controlled by any one interest. It's controlled by each and every one of us. We get what we want out of it. It's basically like reading, like thinking. It's a resource. It's not evil. Whatever. If you read about bomb making on the net is not what's evil. It's putting words into action. That's where you have potential danger. But simply reading about ideas and different thoughts and information, that's not the problem. To think it is very self-defeating.
If information wants to be free, whose magazine is free? Mine is. And his isn't. His isn't an electronic format. He could make his available in electronic format, but no, you continually see it being sold. It's $4.95. My thing that I used to go around screaming was information wants to be $4.95. And he doesn't really like that. And he doesn't see where I'm coming from, and I don't understand that. If he was really, truly into freedom of information, he would give all his shit away for the sole purpose of knowing that he's bettering people's lives and enriching people with wisdom and intelligence. And, frankly, I think information wants to be free is a bunch of bullshit. It's so much political nonsense that people try. It's rationalization, and it's false rationalization. It's like, oh, why did you break into this computer? Because information wants to be free. No, it's a catch-all rationalization. It's bullshit. You're breaking the law. If you don't have enough balls, you don't have enough guts to sit there and look someone in the face and say, yes, I break the law, then you have no business in this community. If you can't be honest with yourself and say, yeah, I realize what I've done is probably not that, it's not all that honest and it's not all that ethical, but I've done it anyway, and these are my reasons for doing it, rather than just throwing your hands up and going, but information must be free. Information doesn't want to fucking be free. My credit report is my fucking business. I don't want the flaming carrot out of Waukegan, Illinois, going and getting my credit information and going and buying a bunch of shit from me. I don't, you know, if I own a company, I don't want someone going in there and liberating my CAD designs for the next model, you know. That's no one's fucking business. And if someone went after that kind of information, I'd be the first one in line to put their fucking ass in jail.
You know, if someone walks into a university that doesn't belong there, just to explore, just to maybe sit in on a class or go to the library when they don't have a card, you know, we don't throw them in prison for 20 years. However, if they go there and destroy a building, we have a law that covers that. Now, I think the same can be applied for computer vandalism as well. If you go into a system and you just are there for a little while and don't do anything bad, and you leave when asked to, if you are asked to even, that's certainly not the same thing as going in and RMRFing the whole thing. You know, it's definitely different. I don't think we need to make a law that says that that's worse, because then the law can be interpreted in all kinds of ways to say that any time you access a computer without any kind of permission, you go to jail. And there are people that want to enforce things like this, and that's why you have people like Bernie S. sitting in prison, because people enforce these ridiculous laws with their own interpretation. It doesn't make any sense.
Law enforcement is scared of us. Law enforcement doesn't know how to deal with us. I mean, the people who are in government that do the kind of shit that we do, they don't live it. That's their fucking job. They go to work and they have an assignment, and they're part of a big cog in this ultimate wheel of government. And they don't, I mean, this is our passion. We do this for free. We do this because it's fun. We do this because it's exciting. We get a rush knowing that we figured something out, and we've found some little tidbit of information about something, or we've learned some new command, or we've learned some new transaction with which to execute on a mainframe somewhere. Any little tiny thing, that's the stimulus for us. And government people don't understand that, so they fear it. What they don't understand, they fear. And it's not so much the people like Corley and the Hacktick guys and anybody else who's going to stand up and wave the flag and go, we're striking a blow for against the government, you know, strike the war machine, all that bullshit. I mean, I don't know how many people really take that seriously. And most of the times when you see that stuff portrayed up in the press, it's usually people trying to do a sensationalism piece, people trying to trump up. They're going, oh, these are the people, and here, you know, and they usually show Eric Corley as some sort of like Fagin-esque dude out of Oliver Twist leading the young boys off the cliff into, you know, that's just sensationalism. But the government, I don't think, really pays much heed to that. They fear because they don't understand. And it's, I mean, I've been doing a lot of work with government people. I've been talking to a lot of people within government, and I'm trying through, when I do seminars such like this, I do the same kind of stuff, but for a more commercial and government sector, and I'm trying to, you know, explain. I mean, it's like trying to teach Martian to a dolphin. I mean, you've got two separate, just totally opposite, or not even opposite, so far different than they're beyond opposite viewpoints on something. It's very hard to find a median to where they can truly comprehend each other, and we're trying to bridge the gap, and it's slowly starting to come around, but there's still that element of fear. And no matter how many people you have crazily running down the street saying, we must hack this, we must hack that, or information must be free, or, you know, here's how to build a Redbox, little boy, I don't really think they take that as serious as they do the fact that they just don't understand anybody's motivation.
I use the internet as a big tool, especially IRC, which is Internet Relay Chat, in which me and my friends, we all like to talk, you know, together about certain techniques and codes that we use to basically break into electronic surveillance or cellular telephony or any other electrical communications. We usually use that as a tool for learning, espionage. I myself don't use it for anything governmental. I use it for fun and pleasure. and basically to build a knowledge base and that I can transfer to my business, which I work for a service provider.
If you're looking for a respectable T1 speed packet encryptor, which will let you still talk to all the plain text internet people that you want to talk to, like the Playboy website, but also be able to do business full T1. That's right. To be able to do full T1 connectivity to other places on the net with triple DES encryption, you should take a look at the LAN Guardian, which is my box in Data Communications of May 21st, 1995. Just did a whole page on it. It's an amazing box because you can build wide area network, corporate wide area networks over the internet, not have to pay lease line charges, triple DES encryption, which is better than most of the stuff out there, and it's less than 10K an end, which I think is one of the things that's going to make the internet a viable business tool, which is sort of what I and my company are really committed to. A lot of people have been fooling around there for a long time, but now we're seeing people want to do real business, and I think that decent encryption technology, especially for talking to your customers and vendors and stuff, is going to be what makes it happen.
What we have here are some very sophisticated pieces of equipment that allow us to sweep the RF spectrum for eavesdropping devices. This particular unit is called a spectrum analyzer. What it does is it allows us to visually ID an RF frequency here on the oscilloscope. We can also listen to that particular frequency by pushing a demodulation button. This is a very important piece of equipment to use on electronic countermeasure sweeps. The reason for that is that real sophisticated eavesdropping devices would actually be a subcarrier masked on a subcarrier. It's hard for me to show you this right now, but basically what would happen is the eavesdropper would actually hide his RF signal down inside of one of these other signals. And without a spectrum analyzer, you will not be able to demodulate that signal. A standard scanner such as this doesn't have the ability to break the signal down that far. Incidentally, this particular unit will go from 200 kilohertz over 3 gigahertz. So it covers the full RF spectrum and part of the microwave range as well. Extremely nice unit for electronic countermeasure sweeps. If you're familiar with the code PL tones, what that is it is a subaudible tone that is transmitted every time someone keys in on a two-way communicator. It opens and closes the squelch on the repeater. Now, the neat thing about having the ability to identify PL tones is that if, say, for instance, we were scanning frequencies in the Federal Bureau of Investigations, you can see that consistently the PL tones are always the same, regardless of where you're at. Nationwide, for the FBI, 167.9 is the PL tone that opens up the squelch for the repeaters. Let's say, for instance, you wanted to hear about corrupt law enforcement people in the IRS. What you would do is you'd go to Internal Investigations Department and assign that frequency to your scanner, and then you would have the ability to monitor all RF transmissions. The most unusual thing that I've really come across was a sweep that we had done during the BCCI scandal a few years ago. What had happened there is a client had hired me to come over to his facility and sweep for RF and hardwire microphones in his office. Upon detection of a hardwire microphone, I suggested to the client that he call the FBI. I was paid for the services, and when I left the facility, oddly enough, I was followed by about 8 unmarked cars, which proceeded to tail me for about 20 miles. When I pulled over to get gas in a convenience store, I was surrounded by state law enforcement agents, and they were shoving batches in my face, raging about where their bug was. They also had asked me if they could proceed to interrogate me, and I told them that would be fine upon receiving a subpoena and with a court reporter. They proceeded to tell me they didn't want me to get involved, and I looked at them and asked them if they were illegal bugs, and at that point in time they looked down at the ground and said, "No, not us." Oddly enough, about 2 months later, the whole case was thrown out, and it turns out there were over 65,000 illegal recordings of conversations during the course of the investigation. When I went to Washington, D.C. to research the Title III warrants on those investigations, it turned out that they did pull a warrant for the bug that I found, but it was definitely 13 days after I found it. So this type of activity goes on widely throughout our country and has been going on for quite some time. Unfortunately, it's about time that people wake up and smell the coffee, so to speak, because of people like myself that can go out and identify these silent invaders.
I'm Cliff Hall, and this is Synapse. It's a CD-ROM-based magazine. It has audio, 8 audio tracks playable by a standard CD player. It has a interface like this that runs under Microsoft Windows that lets you access all of the articles. There are articles on virus hacking, on creating game music. There's C code in there for image processing. There's a morphing program. Lots of interesting stuff. Basically, people all over the internet pretty much showing off the things that they're doing in their basements, and basically did this in my basement in order to give them a platform to get their stuff out.
We're an internet group that started out in 1989 as a bunch of people from bulletin boards and the internet, and as Operation Sundevil transcended over everyone, we thought it was time someone sat there and did something about what was going on. The EFF came along, but then they were bought out pretty much, it looks like, by corporate America. So someone needed to do something for the small people. And since we were already organized, we decided to make it formal. We went through the IRS, got legitimized and everything. I became the spokesman, front person. Here at SummerCon 95, where we're offering free aspirin for everyone that's been partying all night long, is going to be totally wiped out by the end of this day. This hotel is probably not going to sit there and last too long, as this area is. I mean, they got open fire extinguishers and hoses around the hallways. They have no fire alarms or detectors I've ever noticed. It's a round building with a pool in the center, so everything's going into the pool. It's going to be thrown out of every window. And this is going to be turned into the ultimate animal house of college infamy.
Alice! Why are you standing in the street when there's like a big cooler of beer up here?
Because y'all asked me to remove my clothes, I'm like, I'm gonna go away.
Okay. Hey, I got a 3/4 gig hard drive full of stuff up here. SVGA, 2 meg video card, triple stand CD-ROM. You know you want it.
I got your hard drive.
He's drunk. I don't know, I'm a virgin at this shit. It's raining.
It's not so much that we're into red boxes, but people are always figuring out ways of making smaller ones, making ones out of different devices, different objects that make it look kind of funny. The fact of the matter is a red box is just simply a single tone repeated 5 times. That's all it is. Red box could be anything. It could be a tape recorder. So it's just kind of funny that people are making all these strange designs for red boxes, and it's also funny that red boxes work so easily and the phone company doesn't seem interested in doing anything about it. Yet they're perfectly willing to put someone in prison with $100,000 bail for possession of one, not merely using one, just having one. I was inspired to start 2600 because I was on BBSs back then. This was before the net. Actually, I was on the net in a sense. I was on Telenet without their permission, and I just thought it was so incredible that I was able to call a local number and send a message to somebody and have them call their local number, another part of the country, and get my message. It was wild because no one had ever done that before, at least not in my little circle, and we didn't have the means to do this on our own. We had to use Telenet to be able to do it. Well, they didn't think it was all that nice that we did that, but we didn't do anything destructive. We just simply used it to pass messages back and forth, and that was the full extent of it. So in doing so, I realized there's a lot of information out there. People had stories to tell on the BBSs. People sometimes would post, how does this work? And I was saying to myself, a lot of people out here know a lot of things, yet it's only being seen by the people on this bulletin board. Wouldn't it be nice if people had the opportunity to be able to read it in front of them in hard copy? And so basically we just pulled a lot of these people together and asked them to write some stuff for us, and it hasn't stopped since. They do make an honest attempt to portray the hackers as the good guys. So that's something to be said right there. There's been a lot of you know, simplistic, hysterical type of films that make people like us out to be evil when we're not. So in a way, I think it's a good sign that this is starting. Maybe soon we'll see, you know, a better script as well, a better storyline.
What it looked to me like was all the guys at MOD got this guy to buy him lunch and fed him the biggest amount of bullshit that they could possibly dream up in their warped little heads, and he bought it all and went and wrote a script about it. Because none of it's based in reality. It's so much... It's like Parker Lewis Can't Lose with hackers. You know, little kids running around through high school and on their rollerblades, and at one point in the movie, they're all getting together and say, okay, we're going to do it such and such a time, and they, just like that stupid movie, they go synchronize swatches, and all the hands move in the middle of the screen, and they all line up their watches, and it's just, it's awful. It's like a really bad after-school special. I mean, it's the worst piece of shit I've ever seen, and it's going to do more harm to the community because it's going to attract a lot of negative attention, it's going to bring up a lot of hype and hysteria, and it's going to bring in a lot of fucking idiots off of America Online who want to get in on it because it's going to drive this big media sensation.
In the weeks before Kevin was caught, he knew Markoff was up to something. You know, we had phone conversations. He was talking about this quite a lot. He was concerned. If Markoff was his biggest enemy, as he certainly was, because he was definitely helping to catch him, and he was out to write a story about him, and he definitely wasn't on his side. And this is all. I don't think anyone can really argue with this. But with all that in mind, John Markoff never lost his phone service. He still has a credit rating. You know, he basically lived his life in peace. So I think all the myths of Kevin Mitnick simply didn't come to fruition. I think maybe John was a little bit disappointed by that nothing really bad happened to him. Well, he said, somebody read my email. Ooh, that's really scary that somebody read his email. I mean, if you're on the run somewhere, and you know someone is after you, and they're helping to try to find you, and you can get into their email system, I'd like to know what person out there is going to avoid that temptation to look at the email. I mean, I certainly would if I was on the run already and looking to stay on the run. I would make illegal phone calls. I wouldn't take out phone service under my name. I would look at people's email that I thought were trying to catch me, because the whole point of being an outlaw, or not an outlaw, but somebody who is on the run, is to stay free. And that's really what we're charging Kevin with, is trying to stay free. When we look all the way back to the beginning of this thing, we find out that the only reason he was on the run was because the company he worked for was suspected of breaking into voicemail boxes that belonged to Pacific Bell. That's it. I mean, yeah, okay. If you log into a system that doesn't belong to you, that's wrong. But this is why someone went on the run for over 2 years and is facing life in prison, which is really what he's facing, because of all these crimes that they've added up over the years of his being on the run. So it's ludicrous. It really is.
This is all premeditated. Nothing happens by chance. You do not sign a book deal that fast. You do not sign movie rights that fast. I mean, nothing happens that fast. This was being worked out from the moment that these two started talking about how they could make money off of this. I mean, I think probably from the moment Shimomura noticed someone was on his machine and he happened to talk to Markoff, and Markoff had a hard-on for Mitnick for years, because Mitnick's been fucking with him ever since Cyberpunk came out. And what better opportunity for a couple of, enterprising young guys to make a lot of money and establish some sort of name for themselves than to take advantage of a situation and blow it completely out of fucking proportion. And of course, Markoff had he had the New York Times as his own bully pulpit, and he could use that to beat America into submission with all his multi-column front page headline news. And of course, people are going to want to buy it, because the New York Times has been reporting about it on the front page about shit that wasn't really newsworthy and happened years before, and all this stuff. Just doesn't make any sense unless you realize that this was all premeditated, and that's precisely what they wanted to do. I mean, being like the crown prince of capitalism from the underground myself, I mean, sure, I appreciate what they did. I think it's great. I wish someone would give me $750,000. I think it's really shitty that they couldn't have done it another way. I mean, I think if someone would give me $750,000, we could tell the truth and have a much more entertaining story than to try to play up some lackey from San Diego as the modern day Cliff Stoll / Buckaroo Banzai, who's, you know, jetting from coast to coast with his frequency counters, tracking down the world's most wanted computer hacker. What a bunch of shit. I mean, let's face it, if they caught him that easy, he wasn't really trying that hard to hide. And it's obviously these people don't ever leave their homes because, I mean, when I go out, I'm looking to have a good time like everybody else, but I don't go someplace else and suddenly turn into this demonic creature who's, like, never been let out of the room. It's like mommy keeps him chained up like some bastard child up in the attic, and he got to escape for this one weekend of reprieve, so he's going to go to Atlanta and put 30 pounds of ice down an air shaft. I mean, what the fuck is wrong with these people? I hope the motherfucker rots in jail. I mean, that's just stupid. Or these people who break into the conference. If you're going to go break into a building, there are hundreds of buildings in Atlanta. Why would you break into the hotel office when there's people there, for God's sake?
Is he dead? What happened to him?
I think he's just drunk.
We can take him out of here.
Chris, come on, man.
Chris!
See, I guessed her?
Yeah.
Look here. No, see this? It's a phone room, right? He's just... Dude, hey, wait.
Well, he was unconscious when he went in there.
You mind stepping back, please?
If it's anyone's fault,
Nothing
it's
concerns
Everybody need to go back.
You mind going back, please? This has nothing to do with you.
Get back.
If it was your friend, you would have had him up, not in this place here then. You mind stepping back? This has nothing to do with you.
It's a good idea to record this.
Damn, that's great.
Hey, you need to cut it off. You need to move out. Why? Why? Yeah. You're out of the way. All right. Fire hazard here.
It's like crap in the lines.
Okay, he's near the pool.
I'm stuck. Is it like
I am not a crook.
Which floor are you guys going to? What's going on? What's the Oh boy.
I need to back up. You'll need to go in there. Go back over there. Everybody needs to clear this area. I need to go in there. I need to go back over there.
Go back. Back on in. Go back in.
Hi.
Thank you.
We're gonna wake up and ask him. Hello. He's like comatose.
Everybody needs to clear this area. Everybody needs to clear this area. Get back. Everybody needs to
Go inside.
go in this room
right here
or go down the next floor.
Clear the area. Either go in your meeting or clear the area right here. What's going on? Clear the area. Can you hear? Clear the area. Move to the side.
Need to go.
Move to the side.
Everybody needs to go.
Do not use that elevator.
You told us to leave.
Manuel Goldstein. Yeah! Woo!
Yes, yes! Oh, yes, you rock! What's he doing?
And some names.
Whoa, look who's here now! Whoa! It's Chips! I see.
Well,
No, I tried.
the cops can
Go Speed Racer! Go Speed Racer! Arizona hoses!
Who wants to jump on the back of the fire truck?
Say, look, hey, look up, man. We got a posse here. Look at this. See?
If he was only getting charged for public intoxication, if he can sign something, if he's coherent enough, then they'll keep him somewhere till he's better, till he's detoxed, and then they'll let him go. If not, if they charge him with trespassing or whatever, then he's going to be there.
One mic. Hey, Mom.
It's so sad. I can't believe it. I saw people getting mugged up there. I saw a guy get shot. And then they bust a guy just for going down the elevator the wrong way.
I'm not giving my key back.
Oh.
That he was in a room that they said he was trespassing, but it didn't say no trespassing on the door. The door was not locked. In fact, there was no doorknob. I don't know. I think we ought to all just go down to the jail and get him out.
We're trying to free Y. He's the drunk guy who got hauled away.
Y?
His handle is Y, and we're like trying to raise money for his defense fund. And I've got like a pocket full of change right now, but we're trying. Gee, a nickel? A nickel. A nickel, okay?
These are the homeless of Atlanta.
The other day, and they were forever grateful for that.
They weren't grateful, they were pissed.
What?
I said they were pissed, and you know it.
Call you back.
You're using AT&T currently, and we'd like you to switch over. We can give you $5. Would you like to switch over? You can hear a needle drop. Sir, ma'am, we'd like you to switch over to MCI. You'll save a lot more money.
You're interrupting our personal private life.
We don't care. We don't care. This is an advertising.
Isn't that disgusting?
Watch your language.
I'm going to report you to the police.
Police can't do anything about it. This is advertising. It's perfectly legal.
Is that on your line? It's on my line as well as yours.
Come on, MCI will save you money and you'll have a clearer connection. Are you willing to switch over?
I'm going to call you back. I'm calling the police. Go ahead, bye.
Bye.
Bell Atlantic, operator lead number 1158. Yes, this is Bell Atlantic. I was just making...
Yeah, fuck you, Bell Atlantic.
Did you hear that? Yes, ma'am.
If you don't switch to MCI, we're disconnecting your line.
Yes, I'm going to transfer you over to the supervisor, okay?
Get the supervisor on. Is this the supervisor? This is MCI. We want you to switch this woman over to our service.
You got to do something about this. He's interrupting all my personal lines. I'm going to connect you with repair. Never mind repair. It means the police or someone that...
Hey, shut up. Switch her over to MCI. MCI, you can hear a needle drop.
Thank you for calling Bell Atlantic Repair. If you are calling from a touch-tone phone regarding a repair problem, press 1. Push 1. Order new.
Push 1.
And you can't trace the number? No, I will. Yes. Trace his call, and then you can call our business office. And what they'll do is...
Call the business office and switch to MCI.
And you can press charges against... Yeah, but the business office isn't open until tomorrow, right? Right. What you're going to have to do... Okay, I'll do that.
All right.
You're going to have to... Hello?
This is Pedro.
Pedro?
Yeah, hi. Want to go on a date?
Don't want to go on a date?
Yeah.
Pedro, why are you on my phone?
'Cause we're friends.
What? Pedro?
Yeah?
I'm on the phone. Can you hear him? Yeah.
Yeah, of course you can. We're on the phone.
I'm on this line.
You're cute.
Who is that?
It's Pedro. You're not dumb or anything, are you?
No, are you?
No. I already told you my name twice.
You sound like an idiot. Why the hell are you on my phone?
'Cause we're pals, you know. We go way back.
I'm gonna go. Hang on.
Wait a minute.
Go take this guy's office. Oh my god, yeah. Who was that? That's Penny? Yes. I knew it. No, but on the phone. And this kid named Pedro, who knows?
You know me.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Fishes is incorrect grammar. We're here to correct you. It's fish. This is the Grammar Patrol. Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay, are you going to switch over to MCI?
Could you please tell me why you're on my line? I am not an MCI customer.
Because we're the phone company. We can do whatever we want.
You can't do that, mister. I already just had a fight with Heartlands Communications. They had to pay me every penny they took. You people gotta be kidding.
Come on, would you switch over? You'll save a couple bucks a month.
I wouldn't switch over for anything. I'm keeping AT&T.
No way.
Yes, I am.
Then we're going to cancel your service.
You can cancel your sister's ass.
Whoa, all right, that's it, ma'am. That's a federal offense.
But call the mayor, call the president. I don't care who the hell you call.
We're calling them all.
Thing that I pay for.
Okay, expect your phone disconnected by tomorrow.
You lie. You son of a bitch. Get off my music line.
Careful now. You are approaching the end of the walkway. Be careful, island guests. You are approaching the end of the walkway. Watch your step. You are approaching the end of the walkway.
In the true tradition, I'm going to ramble my introduction. After just briefly saying that when I started planning this convention, I never thought it would get this much attention. It was just meant to be a party, and now it's sort of ballooned into whatever. So that's why I like to kind of keep the carnival atmosphere, so it doesn't ever get too serious. Okay, good. We have the first giveaway, a cellular phone. The AT&T 3610, donated by an anonymous source. And if you possess the lucky ticket number, oh, it's ripped. If you possess the lucky ticket number 457 of the last 3 digits, you are the lucky winner. Okay, here's Spanish.
Cryptography is a hot topic these days. You know, a lot of people are interested. My book has sold an awful lot of copies. There are lots of products. I get calls, I get email. The Cydiacrypt mailing list is just getting bigger and either more or less interesting depending on who you ask. It's really getting to be something that everyone cares about. Newspapers are reporting insecurities of computer networks all the time. We're now looking at electronic payment systems over the network and cryptography associated with that. We're looking at ways to deal with secure credit card numbers, secure telephone calls. Companies now are waking up to the fact that people are listening in on their communications, and that their data is valuable and people want to get it. It's, more and more people are getting interested in this. More people want to use this cryptography. And that really bodes well for the privacy industry. On the other hand, we have the forces of the U.S. government at work. Anybody from the U.S. government raise their hand? You guys know who you are. There's a strong push in this country against cryptography and against the widespread use of cryptography. And what I want to talk about is the kind of things we're likely to see in the next 5 to 10 years and how they might affect us and what we can do to sort of nudge them in directions that we think might be better. So it's clear that the future is going to bring more widespread use of cryptography. The PGP is a good example of that. Many, many more people have that than use that, but there are a lot of people that use that. And as the user interface gets better, more and more people will use that. The whole Clipper initiative by the US government showed us that while people aren't willing to buy a Clipper phone, there are a lot of people who are interested in secure telephones. And that people would use secure telephones if they were actually secure and reasonably priced. It's more clear we're going to see more digital signatures in use. Even the US Post Office, the people who deliver your mail want to get involved in digital signatures. IRS looking at digital signatures for electronic submission of tax forms. We're going to see that in electronic commerce over computer networks. That's going to be more and more ubiquitous as the years go. Less clear is exactly what all these measures are going to protect against and how they're going to protect against it. Cryptography isn't an on-off switch. It isn't like you use it or you don't. You're secure or you're not. There's better cryptography, there's worse cryptography, there's good cryptography, there's bad cryptography. And sort of the degree of cryptography we're going to see is still very much in doubt. What'll protect somebody against a coworker might not protect them against a dedicated hacker or someone who really wants to break in. And something that'll protect against those sorts of people won't protect against a major government.
It is absolutely impossible to run a really decent clandestine operation out of a U.S. embassy when you're a yuppie throwing around money, working late, and coming in on the weekends. It gets real easy to spot the spook. And I will one day have a conference and we'll give out Spot the Spook t-shirts. I'm real pleased. One of the things that I have done for the hacker community, I think, is encourage my government colleagues to come to these things. At Hope, we had 3 really great-looking teams of 2 men each, wearing shorts, pressed t-shirts, and black shoes from Air Force Intelligence. But they were nice people, and they learned a lot, and the fear factor is going down. This is what's important. This is what's very important. The U.S. government is starting to figure out that maybe hackers know something the U.S. government needs to know, and that maybe hackers are not the poison, they're the antidote. And that's what I'm all about. When you go around saying the emperor is naked, what you're really doing is making up for communications and computing industry that is criminally negligent. Okay, security is out the window. We have a system that sucks. As you know very well, it is wide open, it is a gauze tent, and there are lots and lots of kids with matches out there. Unfortunately, we're now starting to see a marriage between criminals with money and hackers without money. And that's scary. That is very dangerous. In Rotterdam, hackers are running credit checks to help criminals decide who to bribe in the Dutch government. Hackers are running telephone traces on key people in the Dutch government. Now, in the past 3 years, it has been a deep privilege for me to be taken into this community and to become friends with many of you. And I know that all of you are in fact bright people pushing the curve. Shirley Turkle's book, My Second Self, Computers and the Human Spirit, still is the best definition of hacking on the face of the earth. It's the right stuff. It's pushing the edge of the envelope. Most people don't understand that. They think of it as breaking and entering. And I was at Computer Freedom and Privacy with Emmanuel, and the system administrator from the University of Wisconsin stood up and said, but they're breaking into my system, you know, they should be prosecuted. And I thanked him for standing up because he represented a very significant portion of the earth that just does not get it. Okay? The housing analogy, and I share this with you because you are the ambassadors of Hackerdom. And I really, in the nicest possible way, think you have a responsibility to educate the media, Larry Lasker, Jeff Apple, who's coming tonight. The house analogy, breaking into a house, is bullshit. Okay? Houses have locks and doors and windows and roofs and shingles and all this crap. Dogs barking. Okay? You don't prosecute a bird for flying over an undeveloped lot. You don't prosecute a dog for walking through a rough-framed house with no doors, no windows, no walls, and no roof. That's what our communications and computing industry is today. Would you agree? Okay? We need to help the press understand that bad law is not a substitute for bad engineering. Let me go over that again. Bad law is not a substitute for bad engineering. We have raised an entire generation of overpaid computer programmers that haven't got a fucking clue about security. Unix! Yay, Unix!
In the discussions and getting organized for this year, I said, well, I'm going to make this easy. In case you haven't noticed, this is a Stop the Fed t-shirt with a bullseye target on the back. On the bottom line says, retired, 1/2 point. So everybody in the room now has a half point. I went to college like all good FBI agents do. Guess what my degree's in? Not even close. Hey, history! A BA in history. Wasn't even a BS. It stands for something else. Bullshit. No. But anyway, I majored in history. Frankly, we didn't even have computers back then. I remember the slide rule days. A calculator was $500. Now, I'm only 29 years old. Anybody believe that? No. But anyway, I had done some tweaking ability algorithm cases back in 1979, which was a fraud against the government, a major company. And plus, I've been using them for essentially all of 1980s rather. And so they tapped me and said, we need somebody to look at this whole computer crime stuff we're doing and see where we are. Well, 3 guesses. I can tell you, because you already know. What we found out is DOS. Okay. Now, anybody in this room think DOS is an operating system? I don't think so. Maybe a few. Okay, we got a few. Raise your hand. There we go. So anyway, what we found out was we had a lot of, out of 10,000 FBI agents, there were probably about 1,000 that had been trained in DOS. Did anybody know anything about the internet? Or any networks above a local area network? The answer quite simply was no. So the first thing we did was decide, one, is we need to have a special group, which turned out to be the FBI's National Computer Crime Squad. That was formed in February 1992.
Careful now. You are approaching the end of the walkway. You are approaching the end of the walkway.
According to 87% of hackers surveyed, the best bathing suit ever invented. The tea bag. 200. If we could do without them. Come on. 535 members without a clue. When is Congress? Yes. 1,100 for team 1. 1,000. Chad, are you going to play later?
I need a diligent courier to pick up more beverage. Oh, yeah. Come on. Jump right here. You got to get high. Yeah.
it came up at some asymptote in the numbers. Same thing with quote-unquote hacking attacks. Very, very low numbers, and then it got real steep as the connectivity got there and more people got online, et cetera, et cetera. The power output is a function of time. When we talk about a 100-watt light bulb, that's 100 watts of continuous power going over and over. We call that 100% duty cycle. If I release 1 watt of power as is measured in continuous duty cycle, if I release that amount of power in 1 microsecond, I'm releasing a 1 megawatt spike. So we have an issue of frequency, distribution, noise, and time for discharge of a particular pulse. So it's fairly easy to get up to a fair amount of power fairly quickly. The military has a very active program called Directed Energy Weapons, DEW, and it's all secret stuff, so let me tell you about it. They, Sorry, Mr. Glenn. In the opening minutes of the Gulf War, everybody remembers the Iraqi virus hoax? Yeah? Okay. Instead of that, what we used really was non-nuclear magnetic weapon-tipped Tomahawk missiles, which put out umpteen, I don't have the numbers because those are certainly classified numbers, put out megawatts, if not gigawatts of power near the radar installations of the defending the southern border of Iraq to take down their ability to detect our F-117s and the further cruise missiles that were going to make right turns at the Al Rashid Hotel for the benefit of CNN. But yes, the military has active work in this to use them as weapon systems. The problem that we have from our community is that every time the military ends up with something, it ends up migrating out of their domain, even though the secrecy, physical security, what have you, the information migrates down. And an awful lot of the stuff is pretty much engineering 101 oriented. Are you familiar with the lady who put her poodle in the microwave? The term collateral biological damage comes to mind. Ask any radar technician now in his grave what happens when he stands in front of a 50,000 watt Klysteron transmitting tube. He fries. You do not want to be near these things. You do not want to play with these things. They will cook you. They will sterilize you. They will make you wish for a cellular phone. And despite the intrigue of the simplicity with which to do it, we do not know enough in the unclassified world about all of the effects of this. If we are debating 5 milliwatt transmitters causing brain cancer, would you like to come up here and be subject to 16 megawatt pulses?
Caffeine, drugs, lack of sleep, and a whole lot of stress.
All right.
Which is the normal condition, but usually I manage to consume at least some amount of relaxation. When I die, I do want to go peacefully to my sleep, rather than screaming. I fucked this up. Let me try it. When I die, I don't want...
Someone put it out for me.
When I die, I want to go peacefully in my sleep like my grandfather did, not screaming my head off like the passengers in his car.
You would go to this mysterious black mailbox, a rancher's mailbox, about 120 miles north of here along a remote, desolate highway, where you could go any Wednesday night and see flying saucers on demand. What was nice about that story was very specific, a mile point, 29.5. You go there, and I went there from Boston, and I saw fantastic lights in the sky, UFOs everywhere. But eventually I learned what those things were, and everything that I saw was a flare connected with the War Games exercises. You have a lot of exotic aerial lights that can be UFOs that you're looking for. I learned to dismiss these basic stories. I don't think people are seeing UFOs out there. I think most of those stories are ridiculous. At the same time, I stumbled upon the Bob Lazar story and found that that's more deeper than it seems. I found that that there is a story there that is worthy of investigation, and that's when I basically picked up the loose and came here. I can't say that it really advanced my knowledge that much in years, I still don't know what's out there, but at least I know what I don't know. And I know what isn't a UFO and what could be possible. You can drive from Las Vegas, it's about 2.5 hours. You can drive down this long dirt road, very scenic, straight dirt road across nothing. And down to the border, we'll see the keep out signs, and you'll see what we call the camo dudes up on the hill, the anonymous security patrol. And, you know, they're there for your entertainment. Play some games. But don't cross that line, because then you have no control over it. But always keep your camera right here, and if you have any problems, just...
I've been here for about 2.5 years. I was brought here by the aliens. Picked me up out of Boston, stuck me down at Area 51. I used to be a programmer. I worked in C and in banking systems, and was pretty successful at that. I was looking for new adventures. Right now, I'm a full-time political activist, essentially, and professional irritant who's out to expose the secret base at Area 51. I think that there are issues of accountability here. I'm working to make the military more accountable here at Area 51. I'm a force for greater openness. I'm not saying that there should be total openness. I'm saying that there should be somebody on the outside who's pushing to make the military reveal more of its secrets. Because if there isn't that force, then the military has free rein and we will lose control. The military has set itself up. The best way to attract attention to your military facility is to make it a secret base. Everybody loves a secret base, and everyone wants to come here to see it. They acknowledge the base only in a very minor way. The Air Force has issued a statement, a one-sentence statement, which says the Air Force does have facilities at Groom Dry Lake. It won't say what those facilities are. It won't say whether it controls the base at Groom Dry Lake. This could be controlled by some other agency. We don't know. It certainly won't give the base a name. There's a lot of radio traffic. There has to be coming out of this restricted zone. You have security guards talking to other security guards. You have air controllers talking to planes in the sky. A lot of that is going to be open traffic. You will be able to find it. All you have to do is be there at the right time within line of sight. That's the big problem for people. It's hard to monitor that sort of area from Las Vegas, say, or from Southern California. You have to be there. For many months, the security patrols that patrol the border broadcast in the clear. Anyone who was going down there could listen to how the security patrols were monitoring you. That's now encrypted. But the air traffic, the air control traffic, that's still in the clear as well. You can keep track of every plane that comes and goes out of that area just by listening to the radio. The nearest town to Area 51 is the small town of Rachel, which is essentially a mining town until the mines closed. There's only about 60 people there. That's 30 mobile homes. People are employed variously by the Little Alien or by a local farm. Only 1 or 2 are employed in any military capacity, employed as maintenance people for the base. They are highly skeptical of the UFO watchers. Let's say they have more credibility for the UFOs than for the UFO watchers, because they see the watchers coming in telling all sorts of fantastic tales about things that they clearly know are flares or whatever. But like every community, these people are concerned with their local affairs, and a base that's over the mountains could be 1,000,000 miles away as far as they're concerned. I still have an operation in Rachel. The Area 51 Research Center is still operated in Rachel. I have 1 employee who keeps track of these orders for books that I sell. The rest of the time I live in Las Vegas, overlooking this terminal where all workers take off to go to Groom Lake. It's an airline terminal where 737s land. The vast majority of the workers at Area 51 commute every single day. There are lodging. There is lodging. There's dormitory lodging up there. People are free to spend the night if they want, but people hate to do that. People want to get out of there as quickly as possible. They want to come home. I've talked to a lot of people who have worked there in the past, and the general rule of thumb is the further back in the past that they worked there, the more willing they are to talk. People who worked there only a few years ago are as good as people who work there now. They won't talk. They're terrified. They feel that they'll be thrown in jail if they do. I honestly don't know what's happening at Area 51. If you're talking about the Groom Lake base itself, there's probably nothing too exotic there right now. It is a testing base for secret aircraft. It is a facility for the testing of stealth of radar profiles of existing aircraft. There's a lot of fairly routine projects going on there that are probably classified, and classified for a good reason. It's conventional technology. Whether there are other things beyond Area 51 in deeper parts of the test site, I just don't know, but I'm open to that possibility. It's a good place to keep that stuff. The important thing to me is the media has put the name Area 51 into the public domain. That has an enormous effect. It means that everybody is thinking about it. It would certainly be nice to have another news magazine do an in-depth investigation, but I know that that really doesn't happen. We have to do the investigation and lay the story out for the media on a platter. That's the way it works. I have a newsletter, about 2,000 subscribers, and maybe many times that many readers. That's my way of getting the word out about what's happening. But the web is a vital tool now. The web is a way to freeze information in place. If I get a story, a UFO sighting or whatever, I now put it on the web, and that freezes it permanently, so at least it's there for people to examine it as the years go on. It provides the base of information over which we are going to build over time, and I think that that's the one thing that the web has done that we never had before. In my 2.5 years in Rachel, I saw nothing I can't explain. I've seen a lot of fantastic lights in the sky, but everything that I've seen, I've had an explanation for, either in flares connected with the war games exercises here, and we have great flares that hover in the sky, flares that seem to zip across the sky. There's also exotic celestial phenomena. Because you're in the desert, far from any city, you see things that you never see in normal civilization. You see, every night you're going to see meteors and comets. You're going to see stars right down to the horizon, and planes that are 60 or 80 miles away. You will be able to see those, and that brings up all sorts of phenomena that most city folks aren't familiar with. All this makes great UFOs if you're looking for UFOs. But even though I'm interested in UFOs, I'm not looking for them. I think that if this is a superior intelligence operated by an intelligent military bureaucracy, they're obviously not going to be put on display at the place where you expect them to be.
So fucking weird coming out here.
Area 51, first stop on the way, Rachel, Nevada, and the alien.
Is it going on angle? Because I was looking for something to
This is the most American place that some foreigners have ever been to. Most of our people do come from or for the UFOs. You know, other people do come for wanting to get questions answered for why our government has such a secretive place, but yet you can buy a model of an SR-71 and you can have a map. There's a map inside of it of our test facility, but yet we as United States citizens cannot know what happens there. You know? It's basically, you know, down home, good food, good company. You know, we're an exchange place. You know, you're welcome to tell your story and to hear other stories, and you're never. No one would ever be laughed at or feel humiliated by asking a question or, you know, receiving one. It's just open honesty, you know, good humor. We have fun. I was relatively late at night, early morning, and we saw what we described as the Star of David or Star of Bethlehem. It was the most it was the brightest star I've ever seen. It was like somebody just turned on the spotlight in the sky. And it changed from an luminous white to a yellow to a red, a green, a blue, and a white. And proceeded to follow us from Hancock to Warm Springs, which is roughly 110 miles past here, down Highway 375. It bounced around in the sky like a ball. It went counterclockwise and clockwise. It started to the left-hand side of us, then to the right-hand side of us, and then in front of us, above the horizon of the summit, Coyote Summit. And I mean, it played like if a child were bouncing a ball up against a wall. It was just astronomically uncanny. I mean, it was weird. And to have it follow us for the distance that it did, you know, it was pretty startling to us. You know, although I won't say that we were afraid, because we were pretty much at ease with it. You know, pretty much laughing and joking along with it. You know, checking out. You know, I know, you know, stone cold sober. You know. And stayed with us until approximately the sun came up the next morning. You know, and since then we felt that at times we've encountered the same thing, you know, in different occasions in different areas of the Western Hemisphere. You know, we'll say, but no, nothing that, you know, some people would think it would be extraordinary, or, you know, it could have been out of this world, but then again, it could have been of this world. You know, we don't know, because out here they test and they fly so many things in so many different manners that you never know what it is. You know, it could, you know, some people say, oh, it was an orb. You know, well, I've never heard of an orb. Like I say, bouncing like a child's ball. You know, and it's for 110 miles. And, you know, we stopped alongside the road. We watched it for a good hour. And then we continued our journey, got to where our destination was, and we sat on the tailgate of the truck. And we watched it until the sun came up. The sun came up, it bounced 2 or 3 times more, and then it was gone.
Right now we're in a four-wheel drive vehicle headed to a vantage point where we could possibly see some activity. So we got a couple of police scanners scanning the different ranges of UHF, VHF, and microwave using an AOR, AR8000, and a Optitronics Scout frequency reader. So if there's anything local, we'll just pick it up, snag it on the opto unit, which will program the scanner it'll listen to. Okay, right now, just so we get a bearing here, that's the moon. We're tilting down here, and almost our human eye is very hard to see it, but what we're pointing the camera at is supposedly Area 51. Infamous Area 51.
See that up on the mountain right there? That's the car.
Yep.
My name is Peter Kavicki. I'm the Special Agent in charge of the U.S. Secret Service Newark Field Office. And with me are representatives of the cellular telephone industry, the Special Agent in charge of the New York Field Office, whose agents helped us in the coordination of this case since we conducted raids and searches in 6 different districts throughout the country. And shortly, Faith Hochberg, U.S. Attorney from New Jersey, will be here. Operation Cyber Snare, as we dubbed this, occurred or began approximately in October of '94 when we had the idea and we planned what we would need with the assistance of the industry in setting up an undercover bulletin board sting operation in which we would catch hackers at their trade when they had broken into data systems and were placing the fruits of their crimes up for sale. We were looking specifically for individuals involved in the intrusion of telecommunication computer networks or theft of credit card account numbers and their corresponding personal information, along with the theft of pertinent information which would be used to obtain free cellular telephone service. And I have to say that the success of this operation really depended upon some very great cooperation between the United States Attorney's Office and the assistants that handled the case with our investigative agents and the private industry. There's technology here and knowledge of technology and techniques that we had to share, and what we didn't have, the industry had, and vice versa. And it really came together and worked very efficiently. The entire operation was a result of the fact that in recent years, individuals with computer expertise have gained unauthorized entry into computer systems operated by cellular telephone providers and had stolen large blocks of ESN, that's the electronic serial numbers, and MIN pairs, that's the mobile identification number pairs. When I say large blocks, in the thousands. And obviously, and the industry could relate that better, it is anticipated that at least $1 million a day in fraud is suffered by the cellular telephone industry. And this, of course, when you obtain large blocks through the unauthorized entry into these systems of numbers in the thousands, that they would turn around and sell these through whatever street contacts they had or bulletin boards, we feel that each number is worth at minimum $500 to $1,000 of use before the legitimate subscriber realizes in the billing cycle that they've been defrauded. So it becomes a matter of mathematics. If you have 100,000 to 1 million unauthorized numbers, of how much potentially you have in the fraud there each day. In January of '95, a special agent of this office who's been highly trained in this sort of technology began a computer bulletin board entitled Celco 51. And using sources and methods that we cannot further go into, set up our bulletin board and waited for those to approach us with the data that they had obtained through unauthorized access. Now, I got to say that although many bulletin boards are operated as commercial services available to the public, thousands of computer bulletin boards are also privately owned and legitimate. The components that people need are a modem, telephone line, and communication software. The computer bulletin board may also include various preferred hardware, software, networking hardware and software, password and data security devices, data and other documentation. The main purpose of the investigation was to identify the individuals who were involved in the intrusion of the telecommunication computer networks. Through our bulletin board, we advised that Celco 51 was a bulletin board catering to individuals involved in unauthorized computer intrusions and all aspects of computer fraud, including cellular telephone fraud and credit card fraud. This was made perfectly clear in our computer bulletin board conversations. And that's what we established, and we waited for the response, and the response was from the people, several people all over the country. The practice is so widespread that I think they feel they could do this with immunity. And now they're being called to account for their actions. This isn't something that people do as a lark to see if they can meet the challenge of an unauthorized intrusion into a data bank. It's gone a step beyond that. Now they're selling what they have. It's like electronic burglary, for lack of a better term. They may not be stealing somebody's purse or involved in some kind of violent act in stealing from you or a break-in and entry, but they are stealing. And they surf these internets or they contact these bulletin boards for the purpose of meeting people who are interested in what they have to sell. And we just gave them a forum to continue their illicit activity. This is the first time a coordinated effort through several districts within the Secret Service where we see if we've gotten 6 people that are responsible for this X, imagine how many people are out there that have not been identified that are responsible for 100X. But I think is what we're seeing now is that technology is being put to good use by law enforcement agencies. And we are in this now up and running so that they're not going to operate as they have, or under the perceptions previously that they had, that they were going to operate with immunity. They're not. It'll take us a while, but the technology is there, the expertise is there. It's a cooperative effort with the private industry and within law enforcement agencies to pool our resources, our knowledge, our techniques, and work together, because one alone cannot do it. So far, we have, in our accountability of evidence, we've seized 31 computers, more than 65 clone phones, 14 electronic serial number readers, an EEPROM burner, and 6, and we've taken what we feel is credit for 6 cellular phone plants that we suppressed and involved in this operation to date.
There was one located in Queens, and I do not have the exact address for you, but the individual who was arrested had 11 computer systems that were operational at the time that we executed the search warrant. And from the evidence that's been reviewed so far, it appears that they were cloning telephones at this location.
Smart, slick guys, were they making millions? I mean, just a little bit about the suspects.
Well, we have anything from juveniles to people who are computer adept.
Wait, there were juveniles among the 6 who were arrested?
No, we didn't arrest the juveniles.
No, I'm asking, of the 6 who were arrested, can you just describe who they are?
I'd have to defer to Tony, but the impression I have from them is that they are people who have these electronic systems set up in their homes, and whether legitimate job that they have, they play it when they're home, or they use it when they're back in their residences.
Can take a scanner and sit by an area and sit in traffic where they know a lot of people are passing by with their cellular phones, and what they do is pull from the air what was described earlier as the electronic serial number and the actual telephone number specific to an individual telephone. Then they reprogram it using some of that equipment into another cellular phone and sell it for $75 to $100. That's the more traditional way we've seen it. This is the first time we've seen more along a hacker line in accessing the electronic bulletin boards. We have certain algorithms within the cellular network that allow us to see, I'm using my telephone in Queens, and all of a sudden it shows up someone else is using my phone 2 minutes later in New Jersey. That tells us something's wrong. We can contact the legitimate customer and turn the number off.
What percentage of customers are finding out or being affected by these kind of cloning operatives? I mean, is 10%, 2%?
That's difficult to say. I think most.
How vulnerable are we cell phone users to this kind of?
The vulnerability is shrinking because of things like PIN numbers, because of things like the monitoring system, as well as the personal PIN numbers. Since AT&T Wireless has implemented our PIN numbers, we've seen a reduction in the number of people.
But I know
actual
you probably don't want to
percentages, I don't know.
But didn't we, I just understood that they were selling them.
Well, they were selling PIN numbers if they had access to it, correct, and that's the first time we've seen it. But PIN numbers, in terms of the cloning that occurs where they scan the airwaves and pull the numbers out, cloning has been reduced significantly with the PIN numbers.
But the very protective devices you had instituted are the very ones that were being sold.
As you were saying earlier, they're not dumb. The significance for us is that we can now find them and we can arrest them and put them out of business.
If they answer your ad.
Well, there's other methods, and we've employed them. And the fact is, Rome wasn't built in a day, and crime doesn't stop overnight. And each year there's something different. But now we have the tools and the expertise to give them a run for their money. It's not going to be as easy as it was before. That's the bottom line. The Newark office worked in conjunction with the HIDTA task force, which is the High Intensity Drug Trafficking Area task force, combination of state and federal, where we arrested 35 drug dealers who had gone to a communication center, a cell phone pager communication center, who was supplying the drug dealers with cloned phones as their communications expert. And they sold their drugs and did their drug business with the cloned phones until such a time that the phones would become obvious that it was unauthorized use and shut down. They just go back and get another cloned phone. So we've seen that. People that may not have more than a third-grade education but are multi-million-dollar drug dealers are using state-of-the-art technology in the furtherance of the drug trade. They're just finding people that know how to do it.
There's been somewhat of a bleak picture painted relative to the vulnerability of cellular service, and there are many things being worked on. Certainly the detection systems that we have on hand right now really do go a long way toward detecting this fraud a lot sooner than it once had been. And the name of the game here is to make it so that it's no longer profitable to do that kind of thing. But other detection systems are under development right now and are being trialed so as to help to deal with this problem in the future. The final thing I'd like to say is I'd like to commend the Secret Service for the fine work that they did in this case. If you had gone back a few years ago, law enforcement agencies throughout the country were at a definite disadvantage in trying to help us with the problem because they really didn't understand. The Secret Service has taken, I think, a fine leadership role in helping us deal with the problem.
You might get away with it now or next month, but the way we're developing our expertise, you're going to get caught.
I'd just like to add to that. I think the important message here also is that anybody who might consider using bulletin boards to share information or to develop a criminal business such as this one would really be deterred, I think, from doing that in the future because you never can be sure who you're doing business with at the other end.
Time is on our side. We don't have to knock these off in a day. As evident in this investigation, we started, it's almost a year now. But you learn a lot in a year and you identify a lot of people in a year and new people come on. And the more we learn, the better we sharpen ourselves for the next operation.
Fiber Optic, you're here.
Yes.
Welcome. Welcome. You've heard all this, right? The craziness about the film at SummerCon, the video at SummerCon that was allegedly being done by the person who was a federal informant here in New York. And some people were concerned about what that film was going to be used for. 212-279-3407. Good evening, you're on.
Hi, Emmanuel. This is Phony, and I got RF Burns here with me, and we're the guys who shot the video of you in SummerCon.
Oh, really? Whoa! Oh, this is something interesting. Now, you're just the guys I want to talk to.
Great.
Now, I assume you're aware of all the stuff that's been going on, right?
Right.
Now, the person that was gathering all this information turned out to be a federal informant. So that naturally puts some suspicion on what that video was all about.
Well, what happened is we went to SummerCon, and we contacted the interviewer guy, and he seemed to know everybody. So we wanted to do this documentary on the community, and he set up all the interviews, and, you know, that's about it. But we're not federal agents, and the video is kind of, you know, what's happening in the hacker community in the summer of '95. It's not like intelligence gathering for the federal government.
Okay, well, first of all, you understand how something like that would be bad if it was done by the federal government, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you understand the concern that we have.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Now, my question is, the guy that was the federal informant, I don't want to mention names here because, you know, a lot of stuff is still happening, but what kind of influence, what kind of control did he have over this whole project? What kind of access did he have?
None. We met him at SummerCon, and we basically, you know, were hanging out, and he said, you know, he was in the community for a while, and he set up some interviews, and that's about it. He wasn't. We were also at DEF CON shooting, and at a couple other places, and he wasn't there. So it was pretty much.
And we met him at the show.
Now, did he make any contact with you afterwards?
Well, I can't go into detail, but
why is that?
Well, it's really. I mean, I cannot go into detail because it's not my. In other words, I can't divulge any more than I was told to divulge.
Told by who?
The fellow that was interviewing you.
What I'm saying is, all I'm asking is, did he contact you afterwards?
Yes, we've been in contact.
Okay, and when was the last time you talked to him?
Oh, at least a couple days ago.
After the...
After, he goes, well, so now, basically he said to us, so now you know why I was there and who I was representing.
To be established in the community. I mean, you knew him before that interview, didn't you?
Well, I didn't know him, but I noticed him. Let's just put it that way.
People came over and said, wow, what is this thing? How does it work? And you know, and it just attracted a lot of attention, and it was a big hit.
Well, that could get you into trouble, couldn't it?
Well, so can a lot of other things get you into trouble.
Right, but I'm saying walking around with that and publicly displaying it. I mean, you know, if a Fed wanted to be a real jerk about it, he could get you into trouble.
Absolutely, yeah. There's nothing legal about it.
And was that at any time held over your head by this guy?
No. It has a lot of information on there that I don't want to get into over the phone right now, but it would be definitely worth checking out and looking at.
Uh-huh. Well, let's just hope the federal authorities don't feel the same way and they don't pressure you to not release this or to give them a preview or all the footage or something like that. Are you prepared for that?
Well, they don't know who we are, and we're not going to help them find us. So.
Okay, well, that's the right attitude.
Yeah, the video's not intended for them. It's you know, meant, it's basically, you know, just showing cool stuff that was happening this summer. That there will be some stuff on, you know, on this whole incident.
Uh-huh. Are you on a cellular phone?
Yeah, he just dropped.
He's on a cellular phone, isn't he?
Yep, that's exactly what he was on.
Wow. What a bizarre story. Someday somebody will make a film about it.
Be careful, island guests. You are approaching the end of the walkway.